Well, I guess this is all I do. Hang out in the woods. Yeah, this is what I could do all day, every day. More to come on where I'm at and what's going on. But first things first, I hope you enjoyed the last video I did. I believe it was the last one on my search for land. Instead of taking you through what last time I think was a 14-part series, trudging around, looking at dirt, trying to give you an update of what I was doing. This time it was like bam, 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 one piece after another. I wasn't pondering. I was confident and trusting God. And it was a quick, I said a month last time. I do believe it was only, 2 or 3 weeks of looking for land. Now, did I find my land? I don't know. You've got to subscribe and click the bell and wait for those updates. But in the meantime, I've got a very interesting table topic today. As I was looking for land, I had specific considerations. And really, since the time in Tennessee, which was back in 2020 and early 21, before I found the lease lot. I went 2 different times in Tennessee. I wasn't as confident. Things felt off. They didn't feel right. My finances weren't in place to not go into debt, which has been my main goal all along. And God fulfills the desires of our heart when we wait on Him. Truly, we got to wait on Him. So I had considerations, and I was able to go down my list pretty quickly in my head of what I was looking for and what would work and what wouldn't work. There was a couple times I was like pondering, but another big thing about it was that I didn't have a timeline. I knew that my finances were in a good place from selling the tiny home, and I love living in my SUV, which is behind me here. This is Happy Haven, 2012 Toyota Highlander. So I wasn't in a hurry or like on this hustle bustle sense of urgency, find land. There was just quite a different feeling than last time. I have 10 considerations today, 10 things that I prioritized as I went out and looked for land. And I'm going to share those with you today. So I hope you will join me. Hey, Serene and Simple Life peeps, thanks for being here for the table topic of the day, which is my considerations and clarity as I went out looking for land. Hopefully you watched the last video, I believe it was the last one, where I was out looking for not very long. Now, surprise to me, but I just looked at my calendar and I think it was 1 week, maybe a couple days. The first time around back in 2022, when I went out 2 different times to 2 states, I don't consider that, but I'm talking about the second time when I looked at 41 places in 1 state. It was like a week. Whew. I do believe when you let go and let God, fully give Him the rein, sometimes when you're holding on just a little bit, and I think that was me, but this time around it was like, if the cabin sells or if it doesn't sell, and if I find land or if I don't find land, it's all going to be okay. God's got me. And I really put my trust in Him, and I accepted closed doors. I didn't fight them like maybe this is it. Maybe I'm just not seeing it. You know what? I just didn't let the devil in at all. Like it was just God and I, and He had me, and I just went on the power search because I felt that was the right thing to do. Someone had put in the comments in a last video or a couple videos ago when I did the reveal of where I was in the tiny home, if I could show you pieces of land, so in case I'm not interested, maybe you would be. Well, I'll tell you, by the time the video would get out, that land would probably already be sold. And I'm not revealing location right now. Now, I'm still considering that. Remember, I asked for your comments if you think I should reveal my state. And if you could answer it outside of yourself personally. And I'm going to trust, there's probably going to be people on there that are be like, yeah, you should definitely reveal your state. I'm going to see who's I know some of you who are my regular followers. And if you would, and I trust you, and if you would put in the comments, but some outside people that I don't know, depending upon how it's worded and stuff, I'm going to be like, no, you're just fishing to know where I am. But anyways, that was a bunny trail. This time around, I had the confidence, I had clarity, and I wasn't, if I didn't find land, it wasn't going to be like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? Now, it wasn't like that last time either. Leasing a lot gave me an opportunity to just regroup, renew my spirit. I did a lot of projects like I told you in a previous video. I wrote my book, Rut to Revival, A Gypsy Soul Nomad Journey, which you can find in Amazon. It's going over really well. It's like a handbook, and it's a travel resource guide too. Just read the reviews and you'll see for yourself. But anyways, I did a lot of projects. I made a couple Afghans for my grandkids, and things that I wouldn't necessarily be able to do on the road. I mean, I could, but it felt good in a landing zone to do those kinds of things. So, God knew what he was doing. And of course, when you sell, you hope to make a little profit, just saying. So all these things combined brought me to where I am now, comfortable and content. And like I said, you'll have to stay tuned to see if I found my land or not. But and you won't have to wait too long, okay? But in the meantime, 10 considerations. Let's get back on track here, Linda. And some clarity that I had. And I may compare some of this to Tennessee. But first of all, number 1 on my list, here we are. Number 1, church. Now, well, that was always a priority. But you know what? When I moved to my tiny home, I had to travel for 40 minutes to a church. Now, I didn't look at the local churches. So there was local churches there. But I just knew that I just wanted to be in an active church, and I wanted to kind of research that ahead of time. Know where churches were. And I didn't do a lot of research on it really, but it was a consideration. So I kind of gave that to God. God, I want to be in a church, just saying. All right. And number 2, no eyesores. Now this definitely is a Tennessee one. If you go back and you watch in the playlist, my search for land in Tennessee, I looked at some really nice pieces of land with horrific junk right next door. We're not talking a little rundown, the person can't afford to keep it up. No, we're talking filth. And I should have just driven off, some I did, some I didn't right away. But I just knew if there was going to be an eyesore, it wasn't going to work for me. And remember, I turned this all over to God. Number 3 was a place to walk daily. Now, that is something that I had no idea. I knew that I could walk around the tiny home community in Georgia, but I had no idea that those beautiful trails that I went on, that I showed you, and, down by the horses and those dogs, oh my gosh. Could God emulate that again? I don't know. But place to walk, there's, you can take a short drive and go on for places to walk too. So hang with me here. I'm saving the best for last, which will tie in with a place to walk daily. And number 4, neighbors in the distance. Now, I'm not talking a stone's throw. I'm not talking homes lined up side by side, because that could be really good till it could be really bad. There are certain things, lots of noise. I love kids, but I don't want to live next door to kids who are screaming and hollering and all the time, that kind of thing. It's my age. you know? My grandkids, they could live next door to me. I'd be good with that. But other kids, not so much. I'm an avid ex-smoker. Okay, I smoked back in the day. Now I get a headache, just an instant headache. I can't tell you why. I wish I didn't. It stinks, and I get a headache instantly. So I can't be next door. I was in an apartment one time in California. I was on the upper level, but on the lower level, on the porch, his smoke would come up. Oh my gosh, it was like it was a deal breaker. You know, it was like I couldn't sit on my porch because he was always out there smoking. Nothing against smokers. Now just remember that. I was a smoker. I am not judging you. I am personally saying what wouldn't work for me if I was close by to somebody who was smoking. And the same about drinking. I'm sober for 33 years. People want to drink, they can drink, but rowdy would not work for me. So neighbors in the distance, just for when I go see do or for when I leave for a while, that I would have somebody that would be able to keep an eye on my place. In other words, when I went out looking at land, and if it was like remote, way out there, like, okay, this is me, myself, and I out on some property, like too rural, too remote really, then that wasn't gonna work for me. I just knew, you know, long term, because I've been out and about enough now, that these things, it's funny how things become clearer and clearer the more you do them. That's why you need to stick with things. You know, if you want to be a nomad, stick with it for a while. Things become clearer, things become easier, things make more sense, you know, all that combined. So I wanted neighbors in a distance, but not really living next door to me. So that would mean getting a larger piece of land too. Like a consideration for me was a half an acre would be wonderful. An acre would be okay, a little bit to manage. A quarter acre might be a little on the small side. And I had conversations with my realtor about this too. So we worked these things out together, but I was at least looking for a third, ideally a half an acre. All right, and number 5, room for company. That would tie in with the size of the land. I love company. I don't like company that stays long term. I don't think anybody does, but I want room for my family. I want room for my grandkids. I don't want them to come and feel like there's nowhere for them to go. I would love, if God fulfilled all the desires of my heart, it would be to have a place where I could get hookups, and you could come with your RV and you could hook up for a few days. Isn't that exciting? I'd just love to have some of you come by and visit, and that I would have room for you. So I don't know zoning and laws, but I'm feeling pretty comfortable that if God wants me to have that, or I'm very comfortable that he'll work that out. All right. Number 6 is I don't want rough land. I'm looking at notes. I showed them before. Okay. Don't want rough land that I would need to dump lots of dollars in to make it look manicured. In other words, like trees that need to be removed and, you know, just overgrown. Oh my gosh. In Tennessee, I don't know what I was thinking. Maybe I wasn't, but I looked at places where probably it would have cost at least, I don't know, $5,000-$10,000 to clear it. And I just didn't have that kind of money. So I was like, oh Lord, if you could give me a place that's already cleared, whoo, that would be like oh my gosh, that would be a fabulous gift from God. Now I have a little bit of money depending upon the price of the land. I have a set budget with utilities, budget without utilities, budget, you know, if I do need to do some clearing. But I was really, really wanting to have not a serious rough piece of land that needed a lot of overhaul, a lot of landscaping. All right, number 7, this is kind of goes with the another one that I talked about, but about the remoteness, you know, too far out where I would feel lonely and want to move again. So I guess that would be covered with, I don't know, which one would that be? I don't know. I don't know which one I covered that with, but I have number 7 would be too far out. Just, I know that if I'm sitting around too much with just me, myself, and I, it makes me want to like go see do really, really, and not stay put. So I can't tell you if I'm going to stay put if I get land. I'm not making that promise. I think I am. I don't know. You'll just have to keep watching, right? All right. Number 8. Let me see. I want to be close enough to like where I can get involved and I'm not driving everywhere. I think that kind of has to do with like church too, because I feel because of the price of gas and because I'm getting older, I'm 65 now. You know, when I became a nomad, I had just turned 60, I think. So I'm still feeling fantastic, but I know that can change on a dime no matter what age you are. But I'm getting the feeling like I love to drive still, but I don't like a lot of traffic. Like I mean, I don't think I've ever liked a lot of traffic, but I have each year it seems like a little less toleration for it. Are you like that? Put in the comments. You prefer like not to go through traffic, you know. And as I was traveling, and if I would go through a big city, I get a lot of angst. Like, you know, you're not as quick to the draw for changing lanes and getting your exit and moving over and all those kind of things. And that's very stressful to me. I mean, it always has been, but I mean, I lived in California, but I was able to handle it more for some reason. All right. And then, I also, again, some of these kind of tie in with each other, but like too quiet, like living in the woods. You know, even in the tiny home community I was in Georgia, oh my gosh, it was quiet. I loved the quiet, but I had my neighbor Robbie next door, and I had friends there, and it was a different kind of quiet. But I had to make sure, because I know in Tennessee, like I went back to a place a second time, if you remember watching that video, and it just was like, what is I'm thinking? There was like a shack in the back and a couple shacks, and it was super quiet, and it was nighttime, and it was like, this isn't where I want to be. And so I was in tune with those things. God just brought me in tune a little bit better. Okay, and also like too far out to get a job. You know, I may get a part-time job. I would love to work like in a gift store, I'm thinking. I don't know, maybe a grocery store again, you know, scanning items, part-time, 20, 30 hours, you know, gives me something to do, a little extra savings, meeting people, talking to people, smiling. It's a universal language. You smile and you get a smile back. Have you ever smiled at somebody? Not too often. You smile and right away they smile. You know, not too often do you give a big smile and somebody just looks at you like. So I like to be out and about just to give a smile. And some of you know, I told you that my mom, when I was growing up, she used to say, Linda, why don't you just smile? And I was like, there's nothing to smile about. So I think I'm making up now for lost time. And I believe my mom is seeing me smile now, like she wanted me to when I was a teenager. Okay, probably beyond teenager too. And now, okay. And of course, you know, living too far out would be like, you know, no friends or family to visit too. That would be part of this. I did look in one, I forgot to tell you, I looked in one city in the one state where I went there twice, and I looked at like, I don't know, 10 properties in that area the first time, and I went back and I looked at 6 or 8, and I was like, what am I thinking? Like there was one area in particular that had the most land for sale. In an unrestricted area. Of course, you know, that's where you can find, the more remote you get, the more unrestricted. So that's a little tip, but it was definitely too far out. It was like, no, you can't live in this city. This is too far out. This is for people like I told you, like maybe in the past, you know, you're married, you've got your life, people come visit you, you've got family, people want to come see you, you've got already a network, you've lived there for many, many years. But for me to move into an area that was remote, not good. So, but it took me going there twice to find that answer out for sure. All right, now with no further ado, the last one that's on my heart that I have asked God is that I could be somewhere within a half an hour from the beach. That is tough. That is tough. There's $1 million homes near the beach, Linda. There are minimum square footage of 800 or 900 square feet. People don't allow you to move near the beach and just put up anything. Even though my tiny home was just as cute as $1 million mansion, right? It is what it is. It's the world we live in. Free but not, right? I guess we're free compared to other people, other countries. So, yeah, that would be amazing if I could find. So there you have it, guys. Those were the things. You know, I did a video in the past, you know, why I wanted to buy land. So, and, you know, and I was going to sell my cabin first, and then, you know, what made sense, you know, that was the initial plan, so that I would have enough money to go out and buy my land, and then just about enough money maybe to buy a tiny home again. We'll see. I am very, I'm not busy, but being productive. I'm not sitting in the woods every day. So there's much more to come in the future. So I hope you enjoyed this, my considerations, my clarity, and how going on a land search before and not buying land was just God's amazing, amazing blessing. Because I'd probably be selling that land if I had moved to Tennessee. Knowing what I know with my considerations and not wanting to be remote, because most things I looked at in Tennessee was remote, much more remote. There wasn't a lot of places, or rundown, you know, a lot of rundown too in unrestricted. So, all right, like I said, you got to stay tuned, click the bell, subscribe if you're not already. I so appreciate it. And this way you don't get lost in my journey. I know you don't have all day, every day to listen to the Babbling Brook, but if I'm only posting twice a week and the videos are, you know, a half an hour or less, and if you're invested in wanting to know about my journey, and that I give you lots and lots of tips and hints and things you can do, go see, do, and living life large, making the most of every minute in your life, because you never know what's around the corner or how life can change on a dime, then you'll want to subscribe to my channel, because I don't just babble about what I'm doing, but I am weaving in things that you can do as well. All right. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you hanging out in the woods with me, and Happy Haven in the back. And we will be back at you soon with more about land. And I'm going to be sharing with you, you know, if I find land, what are some of the things that I have to do to make sure everything's good. And also, you know, I'll share with you God's validation of, you know, how things came to be too, if and when. And then we'll be on down the road. Blessings in your day and joy in your journey. Alrighty then, just one more thing. My number 10 was to be within 30 minutes of the beach. And not only do I want to be near water, but that would give me a place to leave, to go see, do, and to walk. Would love nothing more than you to come visit, and we could walk the beach together. Later.